Hey, what's up, guys? So, if you've been following me on Instagram, you know I'm a die-hard Survivor fan, and Survivor Winners at War has just finished season 40, the biggest season we've ever had on Survivor, and I really have a lot to say, and there's only so much I can say in an Instagram post. Also, if you're not following me yet, I have Instagram now, so make sure you go follow me. I'll leave the link somewhere in this video and the description, maybe. So, Survivor's finished, and I wanted to make a review. Now, I don't think I ever make videos on like Survivor reviews. Actually, I don't think I've ever actually made a video on Survivor reviews. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm not going to go in full depth, like analyze each character's performance, what they did right and wrong. I'm not doing that. That will take forever and I do not have the time. Maybe one day I will. Maybe I could like rank all the players or something. Actually, I'd like to do that. I should do that. But I'm going to give you my thoughts. I'll start from the pre-merge and then head all the way to the finale because like the finale's fresh in my head because I only just watched it and I have a lot to say. Honestly, I think it was one of the best finales we've ever had. It didn't have the reunion show. Obviously, they couldn't do a reunion with what's happening right now. It was. I just got to point out Jeff's. Jeff Probst actually had a full Survivor set in his garage. He got two giant crates delivered to him, and he basically had to build it all. Survivor set for dummies, and had to build a whole set. Like that's great. But it didn't have a reunion show, so it meant it had more time that we could have in the finale to like just I can't think of the word absorb it, like make the most of it. This is the biggest season they've ever done. It's 20 winners. Like that's a big deal, and it was this season that made me realize Survivor's not just a game anymore. That is like there's a season where it's like a brand new cast and it could still be like a game. But when it's a season of not just 20 all-star players, like 20 previously played players, bit of tongue-tied there, these are 20 people that have gone the whole way through a season and then won it. And then some of these people have played multiple times. Like, I can't remember what Boston Rob said. Like, if you know Survivor, you know Boston Rob. He's the biggest named player in Survivor history. I can't remember what he said. He pointed out in the episode how many days he's played Survivor. Like, it was a long time. It was 100 and something days of Survivor. Like, around 150 days of Survivor. Like, that's insane. Like, you gotta give props to him. Because, like, this season, he wasn't in a whole lot. Well, he was in the whole season. But he got voted out early. It's like pre-merge. And so, like, he spent a lot of the time just on Extinction. And in last season, he was there the whole game on an island, just living. This man cares so much about Survivor that he'll do stuff like that. That's incredible. So like I said, let's start with the pre-merge. What was hard for me around the start of Survivor, like that first episode, like I had goosebumps the whole episode. Like all these iconic players are all back to play again. Like people like Parvati, she hasn't played since season 20. So that's half of the Survivor history ago that she last played. The hell, Boston Rob hasn't played since season 21, I think was Redemption Island. Like he was back last season, so you just can't get enough Boston Rob. Like some people say, oh, that's enough Rob now. Just bring a bunch of new people in. Like I'm all for that, but come on, Boston Rob, you can't get enough Boston Rob. He's great. But the problem with having 20 iconic survivors coming back to play together, only one wins it. So you have to watch about, because you get 3 in the final, you have to watch like 17 people that you love and adore and have watched over the years get voted off. And the problem with the pre-merge was, and it was the one thing I did not want to see and it happened, was all the iconic old school players, one by one, gone, gone, gone. Parvati, Rob, Ethan, Tyson, Yul, even Amber, all of these people going pre-merge. Tyson came back at merge because of Extinction, but I mean, still, that hurt even more because Tyson was like my favorite in the season and he got voted out twice. I get so emotional because a season like this, it's not just a game. It's so much more than that. Like these people have known each other for years. They have so many connections, even outside the game. Survivor is their life. Like majority of these people would say Survivor's the best thing they ever did. I did see it happening though that like the old school players would team up together and the new school would, because like there were a lot of big threats and it makes sense to me that you would keep the big threats together because like this is like Jeremy's move in the game. You keep meat shields in. Like people like Parvati and Rob, these people are such huge players and such big names. They're going to be target number one. And so keeping them in the game with you, like you're fine because no one's going to want to go after you. They want to get rid of these big players. Technically, Jeremy did make it far in the game, so I guess the meat shield thing did work. You know what? Technically, in a way, that kind of worked for Tony too, because Tony wins it. Spoiler alert. And Jeremy was kept around by Tony for a little bit because Jeremy is a big threat and it keeps him as a target over Tony. Like, Tony won, like, with a massive amount of votes. I believe 12 votes Tony had at the end. But that's the win. He didn't get a single vote to go. Like, no one voted for him throughout the whole game. And then he won so dominantly. It was amazing. Yeah, all I really have to say about that pre-merge is just it sucked seeing so many great players go. It was hard to watch. But it was alright because I do love a lot of the new school players. It's hard to draw the line where new school and old school is. Like Tony, would you call him an old school or new school? Thing is, I would say like it's 40 seasons. So old school is season 20 and back, and then 20 ahead, like go to the halfway point. And so technically Tony is a new school player. But the thing is, like Tyson, I would call him an old school player, yet he won like season 27, or like around the high 20s. Tyson won. It's like he's a new school winner, but an old school character in a way. But yeah, it was just hard seeing so many people that I loved go so early. Even though there were people I liked, it still was hard to watch. So going to the merge, there were some really good people still in at the merge. Like you had Tony, who we know now is like king of Survivor, and we just won't talk. We will not talk about his time on Game Changers. That didn't happen. All right. So he had Kage-yan, where he won it, and then Winners at War, that he won again. But you also had Jeremy, who I mentioned, Tyson, who I mentioned because he came back from the Edge, which I was so happy because I thought Rob was going to get back, and then Tyson did. You have Denise, who I feel is so underrated because Denise was actually one of my favorite winners, probably one of my favorite female winners. When I was making winners pick at the start, I believe Tyson and Yul, I said, were my two male winner picks, and Denise was my female one. I feel she's so underrated, and I feel like it would have been great to see her win. But the thing is, it's Winners at War. You need a big player, someone who's iconic to Survivor. Such a big character needs to win. Michelle, she played great. Like, she totally, I don't believe what people said about her in her first season. I think she did great. And because anyone who gets the end and wins, they deserve that win. Everyone who says they don't can shut the hell up. Chris Underwood, I believe he deserved to win. That was a season called Edge of Extinction. If someone from the Edge didn't win, what was the point? So Chris winning, like I would have rather Devon's, I think we all did, but Chris winning, I was totally fine with. So Michelle absolutely deserved to win Ko Wrong. There's no doubt. And so this game, she absolutely proved it in Winners at War. Like, she made it to the end again. I wrote down a note about Michelle, something I realised after watching the Rob Has a Podcast, him and Stephen Fishback, as I watch it, they're great. By the end of this season, Michelle was the only winner out of all 20 players who had never been voted out. Because if you think, like I know I just said we're not going to talk about it, but Tony was voted out first episode in Game Changers. That's why we don't talk about it, because it was terrible. He went too hard too fast. He made up for that this season. But yeah, Tony had been voted out. And then Natalie, she was voted out first episode of this season and then come back at the end. So, Tony and Natalie both deserved to be in the finals. They both played amazing games. And Michelle, she's the only player out of all 20 that has never been voted out. She made it to the end twice. You cannot say she's not a great player. She is. And she played hard this season. Even though she was normally on the bottom, that's how you play hard. You can't play hard when you're on top. Because, you're on top, you don't need to do anything. When you're on bottom, you have to hustle. And that's what she did. Now, something else I want to point out, which blew my mind when Rob and Steven were talking about this in the podcast. I never thought through the whole finale about this, but it's just insane. So, in the last 15 seasons of Survivor, we've had 3 female winners. That's it. 3 female winners. We had Natalie, we had Michelle, and we had Sarah. Hang on. Those 3 were in the final 4 this season. I will point out something though. I have a bad habit. It's not that I try, but it always ends up getting spoiled for me who wins. Not all the time. Like, I've been pretty good. But I found out Tony won before I watched it. Because I only watched it on TV. It was like 7:30 at night. I watched it on TV. But like a couple of hours earlier, like when it was aired like in America, someone had commented on an Instagram post I made a couple of weeks ago about Tony. Now, I wasn't expecting it. Someone commented, yeah, on that picture and said like, oh, Tony's a great player. I'm glad he won. Ugh. Oh, I couldn't believe it. You know, that's fine with me because I wanted Tony to win. So he played an extremely dominant game. Like, I mean, it wasn't even close. Like, I just said, like, Michelle, Natalie both played hard. Even Sarah. Hell, Ben did well as well. And Denise, she made it close to the end as well. All these players, they did great. But Tony, like, his gameplay is on another level. The stuff he did is like, you have to give him the win. The things he was doing, like, he had full control of that game. Like, Sarah said, oh, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. That could be true, but I don't think Sarah wanted to admit it. Tony was a strong player. Tony had control of that game. And, like, we don't see a lot, so that could be true. But from what we see, Tony is the dominant player. I guess they needed to show that because he ended up winning. That's his winners edit. Showed how dominant. It showed, because there's different types of winners edits. This one was purely show how dominant Tony is. So when you get to the end, like, you would be shocked if Tony didn't win. Like, you knew Tony was going to win because he's such a strong player. Like, there was a moment in the finale where, like, it was pitch black, everyone had gone to sleep. Like, I can't believe Natalie had gone to sleep and didn't look for idols. Like, maybe she did and we didn't see it. But Tony goes off, almost sets this forest on fire, looking for an idol. Like, he's sticking his hand in these holes in the tree, like, pitch black. Who knows what's in those holes? There could be a snake in that hole. Like, that's terrifying. But Tony did it because he wanted to win. Sorry, someone just knocked at the door, so I had to go sort that out. And I've summoned a dog now. She's beautiful. Pandora. She's so beautiful. You can get, okay, bye. She likes belly rubs. This season, oh my god. Like, this finale, it made up for everything that I didn't enjoy in this season. And there wasn't much I didn't enjoy. Look, I can't go any further without talking about the spy nest. That was the most entertaining thing I've seen in Survivor for years. And it worked. Sarah's like, get Natalie and talk to her over near the well. I'll go hide in the spy nest. And then he found out Natalie found the idol because he sees her pull the idol out. He was there in the tree and she had no idea. Not that it worked anyway, because Ben ended up basically getting himself voted out, which, that was sad. Like, I had a feeling Ben was going to end up on the jury. Mostly because I'd seen pictures on Instagram around the time that Survivor finished, and he'd shaved his beard. And so it made me think, he's got to be in the jury, because, like, his beard's, like, iconic to him. Why would he shave it unless, like, maybe he went to the jury and it was just something for him to do? But he didn't shave it all off. He had the big mo, but that was pretty good. Still, Tony finding out Natalie had that idol, like, that's amazing. And that spy nest, that's so entertaining. Every time Tony does a spy thing, it's great. In Cagayan, that was his iconic thing. He made the spy shack, and it was hilarious just watching him spy on people. And, like, there's shots of people talking, and you just see his face in the background watching him. And then when he come back for Game Changers, we're not talking about it, but here we are. He tried to make the spy bunker immediately, but that's what got him voted off. He played hard out of the gate because he's like, that's what works. And he's like, this is why he's so popular. It's because of the spy shack. So he's going to make it bigger and better. And then he got booted. This time, he said episode 1, he's going to play low for a while. And so, like, he got better relationships with people. And he didn't go off scavenging for idols when he could have easily done it. Like, maybe he didn't, we didn't see it. Maybe he did it at night. But he played, like, such a low-level game. Even though, like, he knew he was a big threat. We all knew it. But he still played low. And then he's like, and then eventually he's going to just get more and more and more until bang. Which is what he did. And in that last, like, third of the game, he just shot out the gate. Like, he played amazing. Like, he did great stuff before that. He was controlling the game before he went crazy. But he deserved that win 100%. And I'm so happy about it. That's why I want to make the video, because I just want to praise Tony, basically. Now, it's not a whole lot more I want to talk about. I just want to point out a couple of little things One thing I noticed, which I'm surprised no one talked about more, which was great, like even Rob and Steven never talked about it. Well, they kind of mentioned it, but in that final six immunity challenge after Natalie had come back, and like Michelle was so far behind all the like the physical like parts of the challenge, and everyone was there trying to stack the things and make the puzzle. And then Michelle, like far behind, Jeff's been bagging Michelle basically the whole challenge. She gets there, and like I didn't even get time to blink. Michelle had finished the first part of the puzzle, and no one else had yet. And everyone just looked over Michelle, and the look on their faces was priceless. They were just shocked that she'd done that so quickly. Like Jeff pointed out, this is the challenge that Michelle won to be in the finals and win the game. So obviously Michelle was going to be good at this. That was so funny. She finished that puzzle quicker than I've ever seen someone finish a puzzle. Maybe not. I think Christian did one really quick. But like, oh, like that first episode of Dead vs. Goliath with Christian, that was great. We did that slide puzzle. That was amazing. But Michelle finished that puzzle so quick, and she'd been bagged on the whole challenge, how she was so far behind, and then she just got there and just... that's not the sound effect, but I like to add my own sound effects. Now, speaking of challenges, that Edge of Extinction challenge, like for them to come back and Natalie won it, like, it was pretty obvious Natalie was going to win it. All the advantages, and then having an idol on top of that, which I actually forgot she had bought as well. So when she went in the game and then they were saying, like, I think she has an idol, and then Sarah was like, no, she doesn't have an idol. I'm like, you can't think that though. Of course she would have to have an idol, surely. And then I was like, oh wait, she does have an idol. Because when she says to Michelle, I have an idol, I was like, are you lying? I completely forgot she bought an idol. Like, there was a whole thing with her and Tyson both having an idol. The end of that challenge, how emotional. Like, this is what I was talking about, how this is not a game to some of these people. Like, this game literally saved Ethan Zohn's life. If he'd never played Survivor, he'd most likely be dead right now. And like, I'm not trying to sound extreme, but he was talking about that, saying, well, how he was basically on the edge of death, but the money he'd raised from like the charities and stuff, that's what helped save him. They were able to get the stuff to save him. If he hadn't played Survivor, he wouldn't have had all this, and he would have died. So this is why Survivor is a huge deal. And then people like Boston Rob, like Amber was crying, saying how like she only came out for Rob, which I get. But it was hard to watch her when she was like she knows what people say about her in All Stars, and that like Rob was much more deserving to win, but it was such a bitter jury. But like obviously Amber deserved the win. Like I just said before, anyone who wins deserves the win. So I give Amber credit. She won. She did great. And I've always been a fan of Amber. And it was hard to watch her get upset about that, because like I just felt bad for her. I couldn't imagine how she'd be thinking. Same with like how Michelle feels about her win. She said at one point that like winning Survivor was the biggest thing that's ever happened to her. But the way everyone reacted to that and saying how she probably didn't deserve to win, like that takes that away from Michelle. Nothing should be able to take that win away from her. So it's really sad to watch. But yeah, like Boston Rob, I've never seen him get so upset. Like, holy crap. Like Tyson, oh my god, these people who you never see get emotional. Well, actually, you start to see Tyson get more emotional lately, which is great to see this side of Tyson. Tyson's such like a jokester and always like sarcastic. So to have him super vulnerable like that, it's amazing. But Rob, holy crap. Like, I was getting emotional watching that. But not as emotional, and probably not as emotional. I haven't been this emotional in a long time. If you didn't shed a single tear, or you get even a little bit emotional after that fire challenge with Sarah and Tony, like, man, I was tearing up. I'm not even going to act like I didn't. I was tearing up. Like, oh, their connection. Like, I don't want this video to go on too long, but quick history of Sarah and Tony. Tony blindsided Sarah in Cagayan. They started on the same Brawn tribe in the first Brains Brawn Beauty. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think Sarah was the merge boot in Cagayan. They were cops are us. He went into Cagayan saying he wasn't a cop. He was a construction worker, which you could believe because he was a bulky dude. He was a lot more bulkier in Cagayan. And I would believe he was a construction worker if he didn't say he was a cop first thing. But Sarah was a cop, and and I'm pretty sure she said she was a cop from day one. And she immediately suspected that Tony was a cop. Like, she knows what cops are like, and she knew it. And she straight up asked him, "Are you a cop?" And he denied it. But eventually he admitted it, and they were Cops Are Us. They were a good alliance. Yeah, Sarah got blindsided at the merge, and then Tony went on to win. We will not talk about his time on Game Changers. That didn't happen, all right? Then you go into Game Changers, Tony and Sarah back again. Tony, I'm talking about it again. Tony went first episode. He was the second boot, because I believe Sierra was first, and then Tony got booted like in the second half of that episode. That was really sad to see Tony go like that, because he was always one of my favourite winners. But as you would know, Sarah then went on to win the season. So that's why Tony and Sarah were both in Winners at War. And so I was wondering how they were going to go, like, because I thought for sure they'd like target each other because of like all the history they have. But no, they worked together and said, look, let's just put the past behind us. We are Cops Are Us. They played together the whole game. With Natalie winning that immunity challenge, she put Tony against Sarah in the fire making challenge, and Sarah was crying before the challenge saying, like, if I had to be taken out by anyone, I want it to be my partner in crime. Like, that was rough. And that was before the fire challenge, which if I didn't know Tony had won this season, I would have believed watching that fire challenge that Sarah was going to beat him. Like, the way it played before like the challenge, where Tony wasn't really practicing as much and Sarah was, I thought for sure Sarah would have beaten Tony. And I actually started, this is how much I thought Sarah did well in that fire challenge. I started to believe that Sarah was going to beat Tony, even though I had already been spoiled that Tony won the season. Like, that's how good she played. But then the fire broke and I was like, oh my God, Tony's going to win it. But then after that challenge, oh my God, like, Tony couldn't look at Sarah. Like, I'm getting emotional talking about it. That's how much I care about this game. Tony, like, he just couldn't look up. He was crying. Man, that was rough. No, I'm not going to lie. I reckon that hit me harder than not just anything in this season, but Survivor history. This was the moment that broke me more than any. And, like, I normally break during the family visits and stuff. Like, especially this one. Everyone's families come in. And I remember getting really emotional about that. Like, that was a big moment, and I loved it. This got me even more emotional than that. That was so hard to watch, but it was such a beautiful thing as well. Also, the emotional thing with Ben and Sarah, like, the Ben thing shocked me because I didn't realize how much of a connection those two had. And so for Ben to basically say, vote me out. Well, technically he didn't tell Sarah to vote him out. He said, I am okay if you put my name down. Because, like, Ben was been trying to play better, like, connections in this game, because he played a lot more of just a straight up be good at challenges, and that's how he got to the end, and then the fire challenge, and then he won. And this moment proved it for Ben that, like, he's played a much better game this season, in my opinion. I was always a fan of Ben, even though I think some people bag on Ben a fair bit. I actually really like Ben, and like, there was a lot more players I liked more than Ben, but that's the thing with a season like this. I loved everyone. Except I had never watched Guatemala. Like, I actually had to think about it. I didn't know Danny. So her, like, going early didn't bother me too much because I didn't really know her. Because I tried to binge some season I hadn't seen. Because I actually hadn't seen Survivor Africa until, like, maybe a month before Winners at War. Because I binged it on a 10 All Access that we have. So it has all the Survivor seasons. Like, I knew who Ethan Zohn was. Like, he's a pretty well-known player. And he was in The Amazing Race as well. But, I think he was with Jenna in The Amazing Race, Jenna Maraska, who won Amazon. But yeah, I had never seen Africa. I knew Ethan won Africa, and I think that's one of the reasons I didn't really watch it, because I was like, I know who Ethan is, I know he won Africa, there's not really much point for me to watch it. There was a point to watch it, it was a good season. And I would never have gotten to see Lex and Big Tom, who were great characters. The interesting thing about Ben, though, is I actually reckon he knew he wasn't going to win. So, technically, it was kind of giving up, but I got it. It was so close with Tony and, well, definitely Sarah from what happened. He wanted to go to the end with them, but the way everything was playing out, it was looking pretty bad for Ben. He basically said, like, I know it's coming. So I don't think it was giving up, because it looks like he gave up, but, like, if you know you're done, like, yeah, you fight to stay in the game, but honestly, I don't think there was much that Ben could have done. Ben, Sarah, and Tony could have voted Michelle, and then that could have worked. Even then, Ben still knows how this game's going to play for him, like how it's going to end. He's not winning it. He knew that. He cared so much about Sarah that he was like, yeah, look, you can vote me out. I am okay with it. I've made peace with that. And oh my god, that was a really emotional moment. But yeah, not as emotional as the Sarah Tony fire making thing. Like, that was so. Oh my god, I was so emotional during that. Yeah, I don't think there's much more. I'm sorry, I keep looking down. I got my notes. So, I don't think there's anything else to do. I talked about the Spine Band, the Fire Challenge, Mini Challenge, Michelle Puzzle, the. Yep, that's everything. Sorry. Yeah, that's it. Tony was a dominant winner. I'm so glad he won, and I can't wait for more Survivor. And we're still getting Survivor in Jeff says in the fall. Well, it's spring for me, but it means that we're still going to get a second season of Survivor in 2020. So that's great because I can't remember. I read it before early this morning. It said where they were going to go filming for the new season because it's not Fiji again because they've done Fiji like last 10 seasons or something. So it's actually going to be nice for a change. It's crazy what Jeff said, though, that like people from 16 can apply. Like, I think the youngest person we found Survivor was 18. I think that was Will in Millennials vs. Gen X, I believe. Oh, or no, Michael Yerger in Ghost Island, I believe. This finale and Tony winning made this season worth it. Absolutely worth it. It's hard to say now if you haven't seen it, go watch it because I basically spoiled the end for you. But like, if you haven't seen it, you didn't care about like knowing who won and stuff, and still haven't seen the season, like, go watch the season. Winners at War is one of the best seasons of Survivor ever. Bunch of iconic players. Like, I would say watch the seasons with these winners before, but the hard thing is, you don't want to have to watch 20 seasons knowing that each of those seasons, like, knowing who wins it in the end. That sucks. But you got to do it sometimes. Like I said, knew Tony won this season. I knew Tony won just before I watched the finale. But it didn't make the finale much worse for me. I still enjoyed the hell out of the finale. And like I said, I think this is probably the best finale we've had in Survivor. Like, it was so good. And I knew who was going to win. It helped that I liked and was gunning for who ended up winning. But it was great. Sorry, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this review. I might do this for more Survivor. I might make a ranking of my favourite Survivor players, like in this season or maybe just in general. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're not following me on social media, like I said, I have an Instagram account now. Make sure you follow me on that as well as Facebook. Thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!